told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I tried to explain to you guys. We've been monitoring this uptrend line for 2 months. This darker uptrend line right here. As soon as we closed below this level, I went short. Period. That's it. I explained to you guys that we were going short. We trade the levels blindly and they worked out perfectly. The puts went for 100%. Other plays, I notified them on Twitter. They went for 20-25%. Things were beautiful. We called this play out perfectly. The IWM. I tried to explain to you guys about the IWM as well. I said the movement on whatchamacallit, Thursday or Friday, whenever this candle was, it was not good because we made back all of the gains intraday. I said that what would happen is essentially this increase in price intraday was just a way for people to get back into shorts, and we would fall back and retest the lows. What happened? We ended up making newer lows. Okay, so I tried to explain to you guys. So now moving forward, what can we do? All right, so now in today's video, we're going to go over the overall market. We're going to go over the crypto markets, the bonds, and the dollar. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Also, if you weren't subscribed to me already, I really have no idea what you're waiting for. So go ahead and subscribe, put on the bell notifications to get alerted every time I post a video, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram. I post all of my trades live for free. All right, so go ahead and do that. So let's get right into it. So the SPY, obviously the SPY was falling as well. The rest of the market was falling. The SPY was falling. It broke down below this level of support that we've also been monitoring. So now the next level of support, which is going to be very, very important, are going to be this 38.2% fib level at 429 on the SPY, right? And approximately this trend line, which is going to be around 429.50. So 429 to 429.50 is now going to be a key level of support on the SPY. And it looks very, very good for it to potentially hold. The reason for that is because now we are extremely oversold on the MACD. All right, so remember back here when we were also, monitoring the SPY when it fell very sharply, we were near support and the MACD was extremely oversold, which meant that there is potential room to go to the upside. So we found support. The MACD was also extremely oversold. The RSI fell sharply as well. So now it looks like we're gearing up for something very similar. So, which is why I feel like a good, safer potential play would be to buy around 429, potentially, right? As long as we can hold these two trend lines with strength. We need to see if we can consolidate above this level. The RSI fell sharply, very similar. The MACD is now, falling, now oversold as well. So there's a few similarities between the past, okay? So we need to see if we can consolidate above 429. If it breaks 429, then it's going to fall down to potentially the 50% fib level at 426.31. All right, so that's really it on the SPY. We can see that it fell through this level of support here, very important, but now it's entering a much stronger, more straight level of support that isn't diagonal, okay? So, yeah, that's really it on the SPY. Let's go ahead and check out the IWM. All right, right off the bat, you can see that we're oversold, extended to the downside on the Bollinger Band, which is a sign that the price of the IWM would like to return back into the mean or the average of the Bollinger Bands, okay? So usually when we do appear to the lower end of the Bollinger Band, we return, okay? But, this is not a very bullish movement. So what might end up happening is the IWM can fall down to 213 and then bounce. Okay, I wouldn't even, I wouldn't put it past the IWM to bounce off of this level here, because that is very similar to what happened back in May. This is exactly what I wanted. This is what I wanted for July 15th, but ended up happening on July 16th. So that's exactly what many other, floor traders and everyone were waiting for as well. They wanted to buy along this trend line, and they wanted the market to close at this level of support, so that when potentially they would be able to make profit on a bounce. Over here, if they would have bought at the close, they wouldn't have been made, a huge profit on the potential bounce, which is why the market fell. They wanted a better price point to buy. Okay, That's purely what happened. Go ahead and rewatch the video if you can't understand what I just said. That's literally exactly what happened. Watch yesterday's video as well, and it explains why I didn't like this price movement. Okay, so essentially you can see that, you know, we were extremely overextended outside of the lower level of the B band back in May as well. We bounced off of this level of support, but now we just need to see if we can hold above 214.50. If 214.50 breaks, then 213 can potentially be the next level of support for the IWM, and that would be very similar to the SPY. So if the SPY would also continue falling down to this level here, then the IWM would also fall down to this level here, the 213 level. So that is potentially what I think could happen. All right. You can also see that the MACD is extremely oversold. The RSI is now almost oversold as well. Two very potentially bullish signs. All we need to do now is we need to consolidate at support and see if we can hold at support. Okay. And that's it. We just trade the levels blindly. So there's my analysis on the IWM. Oops. And now we're going to go into the NASDAQ, the bonds, and the dollar. All right. So this is the NASDAQ. All right. We've been monitoring this upper darker trend line for 2 months now. As soon as we closed below that trend line, I went short. I alerted you guys to go short. And that's exactly what happened. The market ended up falling even lower. And it started to close and break through every single semblance of this uptrend. So let me go ahead and hide this. I connected a trend line to every low that we've made, right? The first low that we've made connecting. So here on May 19th, I connected it to June 16th. And I made another line connecting May 19th to June 21st. All right. And we got support levels. We ended up bouncing off of those support levels on July 15th, but then on July 16th, we closed below all of them. All right. So now, and by the way, when this was happening, I said that if the market were to break and this trend line were to break, then 353.88, this 23.6% fib level, was going to be the target to the downside. And it looks like this is potentially what could happen. Because if the IWM continues falling, if the SPY continues falling, then that would mean that the NASDAQ could potentially continue falling down to this 354 level as well. All right. But now we can see that the MACD is now oversold, similar to the other indices. The RSI cooled off very, very nicely. It's not overbought anymore, which is a very good sign. So now literally what needs to happen is the NASDAQ. We need to see if we can find support. And then given these indicators not being as, overheated, that is a very good sign. So if we can find support around, key levels, potentially 354, 355, that is going to be very good for a bounce for the IWM back to the upside. All right. But for now, that's really it. We just need to monitor how it's going to respond on Monday, and then we'll just take it from there. But for now, I guess we can go ahead and look at the 30-year yield. So the 30-year yield, it was actually going up as the NASDAQ was falling. All right. So initially, I was hesitant to go short because the 30-year yield was giving such a strong bullish indicator. And of course, as you know, I've been explaining that when the 30-year yield and the dollar do well, then the NASDAQ does well. But we did not do well in accordance to the NASDAQ's stock price, in accordance to the bonds. So as you can see here, the 30-year yield still looks very, very bullish. The MACD is crossing up above, which is a very, very bullish indicator. It means that the momentum is moving forward. This is happening at a level of resistance, which is also very bullish. It means that the 30-year yield can continue moving on higher. And if that does happen, then I believe that the NASDAQ will bounce and regain its strength. But also we need to watch the dollar, because the dollar is also very important for that thesis of mine. So the dollar, it's also very oversold. It failed to cross above this level of resistance, and we didn't cross above on the MACD. What happened was we bounced off of that level, and now we're oversold again. So if the dollar can reclaim this yellow MACD line and cross back above, that would potentially mean that we're breaking above these resistance levels, which would potentially be bullish for the NASDAQ if the 30-year yield is also going up at the same time. All right, so that's what we have to watch on the dollar. The US 10-year yield obviously looks very, very weak. It is crossing down below on this MACD line, which is very, very bearish. And it looks like there's still much more room to the downside because we are not yet overextended to the downside in the Bollinger Band on the US 10-year yield. Similar to the IWM, you know, looks very weak, but the IWM is much more overextended to the downside on the B bands than the 10-year yield. All right. And I mean, yeah, that's really it. That's really it for the indices. We could look at crude oil actually real quick, and crude oil, you know, it's holding support above the 71 level, the 38.2% fib. We're now very oversold on the MACD. We're, you know, finding some sort of a foundation on the RSI at support, which is good for crude oil. Okay, so let's see if that continues on higher. But aside from that, there's the overall indices. And now we can go ahead and check out the crypto market. Well, Bitcoin does not look very good. Okay, so yeah, so you know, on July 15th, we failed to cross above and hold above this blue trend line. We fell very, very sharply. I said that we needed to hold above 31,500, which is, you know, thankfully happening for now. But if we don't reclaim 32,500 and then we don't start trading above this blue trend line, then Bitcoin can just, you know, bounce around here and then fall even lower. So what we need to watch is the MACD is now oversold. And this is, you know, this is a great opportunity for Bitcoin to start going on higher. But we need to monitor how we respond out of these oversold levels. So we were extremely oversold back in late June, remember? Extremely oversold. We were sitting at support, but look at how it worked off of this oversold condition. We were oversold, we crossed above, which is very, very bullish, and then we became very overbought. So what happened in the actual price? We were very oversold here. We were sitting at support. Perfect. It was a perfect opportunity to break into, you know, back into the bull market. We were sitting on this blue trend line, very, very oversold. We worked off of that oversold condition, became extremely overbought right here, without crossing above resistance. So that is very, very, very bearish. So we worked off of extremely oversold up to extremely overbought without breaking any key level of resistance, which is why Bitcoin fell even lower afterward. So now we need to see if that is going to happen again on Bitcoin currently. So we can see now that we're oversold. Obviously not as oversold as before, but we are oversold. Now we just need to see if we can cross above 32,500 as we cross above on the MACD. That's really it, okay? So please, I rambled a bit, but everything that I just said was very necessary for you guys to understand where I'm coming from, okay? So please go ahead and just watch that over if you don't understand, but I promise you it's going to help you in your trading to understand what I'm talking about, okay? So, yeah, I mean, it needs to cross above this blue trend line. It needs to cross back above 32,500. And, you know, Monday, it needs to be comfortably trading above 33,000 for it to regain into this, you know, this trend line here, this triangle. All right, let's go ahead and check out Ethereum. So Ethereum, obviously, it's similar to Bitcoin. This is not good. This is not good right here. The MACD is moving way too sharply upward. Whereas the price of Ethereum is not moving sharply upward. So that is not a good sign. So we need to see if we get like some whales to really, really just ramp up this divergence and, you know, push through on the MACD and hit a bunch of, you know, signals for all of these other algos and trading bots to have them force buy, okay? Because right now this is not good. We need to cross above like 2,000, 2,200, and it doesn't look like this is going to happen. on Ethereum. But you know, of course, if it does, then that's great. But yeah, this is terrible. We're moving up way too fast. Ethereum barely moved. All right, so that is not a good sign. But aside from that, that's there's my analysis on the overall market. If you guys want me to go over, you know, gold, silver, and stuff like that afterward, go ahead and drop a comment. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have an amazing day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.